What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review on an entire series, a TV series that's on Netflix called Brand New Cherry Flavor. Let's get into it. So a lot of you might be fans of the Channel Zero TV series that was on Sci-Fi and then moved over to Shudder to rewatch. A lot of people didn't even start watching Channel Zero until it started to hit Shudder, which is me. And boy, did I suck those episodes down for each season instantly. Like, I was really enjoying them. So I was moderately excited for this because it is by those creators and writers for that show. You have Nick Antosca and Lenore Zion, who of course did those shows, and of course they're doing this show with the Brand New Cherry Flavor. This is a story based off of a novel by Todd Grimson, who wrote this back in 1996 and put it out. So fast forward 25 some years and here we are with a TV show. The story of Brand New Cherry Flavor is about a girl named Lisa who's come to LA to, of course, become a filmmaker. After a certain event happens, she embarks on one of the weirdest, most supernatural, mind-altering journeys into revenge that gets nightmarishly out of control. Some of the cast in this movie is Rosa Salazar, who is Alita Battle Angel, and she's been in some American Horror Story from the original first season. We have Catherine Keener, who joins the cast. I always remember her from Being John Malkovich, which is she's great in, and she's great in this show as well. We also have Eric Lang, who plays the executive producer. He does a really good job along everybody else in this show. I won't go through everyone, but let's just say Rosa Salazar steals the show here. I watched the first 4 episodes of this show and was like completely locked in, and I think most people will be, so that's a good thing, of course. There's lots of really strange things that happen to this girl while she's trying to start up her career, and one thing turns into another thing, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and just snowballs into this insane story. Now, I've never read Todd Grimson's book, but I would assume that they tried to stay as close as they could to the material. And what I really like about this show is that it has some really dark comedy in it, alongside with some really good dramatic performances, and then obviously a healthy heaping of just weird, horrific, disgusting, and bizarre. Like, some of the acting in this show is actually pretty decent. It does kind of start to weather towards the end, and I think that's where a lot of people are going to have their problems. I was so like gung-ho about this show right off the bat that it was a little disappointing by the end where we go. But there should be enough here to keep people more on the positive side of the fence for this show than I think on the negative. But some people, of course, if you don't nail the landing, it's not a very good show for them. I would still say out of 8 episodes that I watched, 80% of the time I was like having a blast, but the last 20% or so was a little rushed, and there was a little hokiness to it, and it didn't feel as nuanced as it once was when we first started watching this show. Like, there's some really good acting chops in the first at least 4 episodes, but then it starts to slow down towards the end, and you get kind of fatigued from some of the weirdness. But, you know, it kind of does go in some areas that are interesting, and you still wonder what the hell is going on. But you quickly realize, like, why are some of these characters just going along with some of this, like, weirdness? It's hard to talk about this show without really getting into spoilers, but let's just say that there is a lot of supernatural sort of events that happen in this movie, cues that remind me of stuff from Channel Zero a little bit, and maybe that's just the style, maybe why this team that was on Channel Zero picked this book, because they found it to be really interesting, and it does have some of that sort of weird flair to it. And let's be honest, you know, I like weird movies that just kind of go for it and like take you places that you never seen, but it's something about the consistency of the weird. It really feels like the beginning of the movie is building towards some really extremely big thing at the end, and by the end it was a little unsatisfactory for me. It felt a little lazy or rushed, maybe. There's something about it that just didn't leave the best taste in my mouth after that wonderful ride that I got, you know? I felt like in the beginning, like a little bit more Lynch, but the styles sort of change throughout the film as far as direction and stuff. I mean, we do have like 5 different directors on this one. For the most part, like it is a very fleshy kind of film. Some people are saying like Cronenberg. I don't know if I got the Cronenberg vibe from this necessarily, but there is definitely a lot of parts in the movie that are dealing with body horror, not so much graphic gore, but just body horror. So there's some twisting and some things that happen that are pretty grotesque, while also still kind of dealing with reality and not so much on the nightmarish end, and kind of giving you that sort of Breaking Bad feel where everything is dark and fucked up and you don't know who the hell you're fucking rooting for anymore, or if you should be happy that this is happening for this person. You know, it's ultimately placed into dark comedy, in my opinion, with like some heavy notes of like drama, horror, maybe a little body horror in there too. But I wouldn't go into this thinking The Thing or Videodrome or anything like that. It's a little bit more based in reality while still being kind of creative, cool, stylish, and fun, and at times a little hokey. I think it was about the 5th or 6th episode that it started to get a little bit redundant. I still think this is a good show. There is some gore and some violence, a lot of dark comedy, that stuff that you shouldn't be really laughing at, a lot of moments that are really pushing the boundaries a lot. It is kind of existing in its own sort of world in some regards, while other episodes felt very firmly placed in reality. So it's really weird how this movie kind of cultivates that vibe. It wavers a little bit, but for the majority of what I got to see and a lot of the laughs that I had that were genuine laughs, like stuff that you're just like, I can't believe that just happened, and the reactions shows you that people will do just about anything to get through Hollywood. It really kind of puts a sour taste in your mouth literally right after the first episode of how bad that can get. For me, you know, I enjoyed most of the ride there, and I was at a very high point for half, like a 9, 10. It felt very perfectly paced. And then it kind of just starts getting a little shaky by the end. And for that reason, I'm kind of sitting on like an 8. It's a solid show. And I really enjoyed the humor in this show. And I really liked a lot of things that were in this show. I did not like exactly where it ended up. I think I just expected more from it. Who knows? I haven't read the book, so maybe it nailed exactly how the book is. Maybe a 7.5 out of 10. But I will still stick with an 8. And I'd probably say that if I watched it again, it might go down. You know, it really depends on how you enjoy the end and where it heads. There are some really great performances here. There are some really great laughs. There's some really dark and twisted, fucked up shit that happened in this. There's a lot of moving parts in the show, by the way. So you've got a lot of things that are happening that don't really make sense until the very end. Some of those strings that led to that point, it just felt like it could have been more. It's still good to me that are doing stuff that's like Channel Zero, but also kind of like hokey by the end. So it's kind of like this mixed bag. So I'll stick with 7.5 or 8. You should enjoy yourself for the most part by watching this show. Don't think you'll be so disappointed that you will feel like the ride wasn't worth it to the end. But you know, the end is a very important part for a lot of people, and it may not satisfy just everyone. I enjoyed my time. What do you guys think? Have you seen the show yet? Have you binge watched it like I did from start to finish? I started it this morning and finished it this evening. I had a relatively good time. I was expecting a lot more, but I still think it's really cool. I like getting into weird cinema. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this review, please hit the like and subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell icon on the way out, because it really does let you know when I get a new video. I got a lot more stuff coming up, stuff that hasn't even released yet that I gotta do, stuff that I'm catching up on, so expect a lot of different stuff. But thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.